There's a certain type of man who stands out without saying a word. He doesn't try to be noticed. He doesn't seek validation. He doesn't chase approval. And yet, women feel drawn to him in a way they can't fully explain. He is the man who is hard to impress. Not because he's arrogant or uninterested, but because his soul simply doesn't react to superficiality. He moves through the world with a kind of inner quiet, a calmness that makes everything around him feel more real. Women value this man because he represents something rare. A man who is grounded, centered, and spiritually alive in a world that constantly pulls men into chaos. Most men crumble when they meet a beautiful woman. Their voice changes. Their posture shifts. Their nervous system betrays them. They begin to chase, to please, to impress as if approval is the oxygen they need to breathe. Women sense this, and though they may enjoy the attention, they don't value it. Because deep down, they aren't looking for a man who reacts to beauty like a boy seeing it for the first time. They are looking for the man who can admire beauty without being consumed by it. This is the first reason why the man who is hard to impress is so deeply valued. He remains unmoved by external storms. He carries a kind of stillness that only comes from maturity. He doesn't just have emotional control, he has spiritual control. Throughout history, spiritual teachings have emphasized the power of stillness and presence. A man who has mastered his inner world doesn't flinch or overreact. His calmness is not emptiness, it's depth. His silence is not weakness, it's awareness. And women feel this instantly. They test for it subconsciously, not because they want to manipulate, but because they want to feel safe. A man who is easily impressed is often easily influenced. A man who is easily influenced is not anchored. A man who is not anchored cannot be trusted to withstand life's inevitable storms. But the man who stays centered even in the presence of beauty signals a strength that is not performed. It is lived. Another reason women value the man who is hard to impress is because he desires without desperation. Women can feel the difference between a man who wants them and a man who needs them. Desire expressed from neediness feels heavy. It comes from emptiness. It says, I don't have enough within me, so I need you to complete me. But desire expressed from fullness feels powerful. It says, I like you, but I don't need to sacrifice myself to have you. Women respect the man whose desire has discipline. This kind of desire is rare because most men allow lust to dominate them. Lust makes them reactive, irrational, and easily manipulated. But the man who has tamed his desire moves differently. He appreciates beauty, but he isn't hypnotized by it. He can admire without worshiping. He can be attracted without abandoning himself. Spiritually, this is the mark of a man who has learned to master the lower impulses of the self. Every great spiritual tradition speaks about the importance of rising above lust, not to repress it, but to command it. The man who is hard to impress has an elevated relationship with desire. It is something he can feel without being enslaved by it. Women recognize this instinctively. They can sense when a man's desire is guided by intention rather than impulse. They feel safer with such a man, more respected and more valued because his interest isn't random. It's conscious. Women also value men who are hard to impress because their self-worth comes from within. When a man tries too hard to impress a woman, he reveals a weakness. He is seeking her approval to validate himself. He is telling her without words, my identity depends on how you see me. But the man who is hard to impress doesn't operate this way. His sense of self is self-generated. He doesn't need anyone to confirm his worth. He doesn't adjust his personality to be appealing. He doesn't bend his standards to get attention. His presence alone communicates wholeness. Women can feel when a man is whole. It changes the entire dynamic. Instead of chasing approval, he offers connection. Instead of performing, he is simply himself. And instead of fearing rejection, he sees it as redirection. On a spiritual level, this kind of self-worth reflects inner sovereignty, the power of a man who knows himself beyond the roles, expectations, and illusions of the world. He doesn't need to be impressive because he already lives in alignment with his inner truth. Women value this because inner truth is rare. In a world full of masks, a man who knows who he is becomes unforgettable. Another thing that makes these men so valued is their selectivity. When a woman meets a man who cannot be easily impressed, she immediately understands that he is not a man of low standards. He does not just like anyone. He does not chase anyone. He does not get excited for just any pretty face. His interest is earned, not given away carelessly. This selectivity elevates his value instantly. A woman wants to be chosen, but only by a man who doesn't choose easily. Being desired by a man who desires everyone feels meaningless, but being desired by a man who rarely shows interest feels profound. It makes her feel special, not because he is giving her attention, but because he is giving her focus. And focus from a selective man carries weight. This selectivity reflects something spiritual as well. It shows that the man is not operating from impulse, but from discernment. Discernment is a spiritual quality, the ability to see beyond the surface, to choose what aligns with truth rather than what feeds the ego. Women value men who use discernment because it means that when such a man chooses her, it is not out of loneliness, lust, or convenience. It is out of genuine alignment. Another reason women value men who are hard to impress is because their life does not revolve around women. These men have a world bigger than dating. They have a purpose, a vision, a mission they are moving toward. Their life is filled with meaning. They are builders, thinkers, creators, men who walk a spiritual or intellectual path that gives depth to their existence. Women sense when a man has direction. It calms them. It inspires them. It allows their feminine essence to soften rather than take over. A man without purpose collapses into women, seeking meaning through them. A man with purpose invites women into his world without making them the center of it. Spiritually, a man's purpose is his connection to the divine. It is the force that keeps him grounded when the world pulls at him. It is what protects him from losing himself in relationships. Women value this because a man with purpose does not rely on her to feel complete. He is already full. He seeks partnership, not rescue. There is also something incredibly attractive about a man who protects his energy. Most men give their time, attention, and emotional energy away too freely. They are always available, always ready to please, always accessible. This makes them forgettable. But the man who is hard to impress treats his energy like something sacred. He doesn't share it casually. He gives it intentionally. This makes every moment with him feel meaningful. Women value the man who protects his energy because it signals emotional maturity. His presence carries weight because it is not scattered everywhere. It is concentrated, focused, and powerful. In spiritual terms, energy is the currency of the soul. Where you place it determines the quality of your life. A man who understands this radiates differently. His aura is stronger. His presence is felt before he speaks. Women feel drawn to this because feminine energy naturally gravitates toward masculine presence. And presence can only form when energy is protected. Another powerful reason women value men who are hard to impress is because they see beyond the surface. These men are not blinded by beauty. They do not lose themselves when meeting an attractive woman. They look deeper. They pay attention to character, intentions, values, emotional maturity, and spiritual alignment. A woman feels something unique when a man looks at her in this way. She feels seen, not just admired. And this kind of seeing is rare. Most men see a woman's beauty. Very few see her essence. Spiritually, seeing someone's essence means looking beyond the physical form into the soul. Women crave this depth. They want to be understood beyond the surface. The man who is hard to impress naturally brings this depth because he does not live on the surface himself. His vision is shaped by awareness, not impulse. There is also a natural mystery that surrounds a man who is hard to impress. He does not reveal everything about himself right away. He doesn't overshare. He doesn't flood conversations with information. He leaves space for discovery. Women love this not because it's a game, but because it feels real. Mystery is not manipulation. It is depth unfolding slowly. Women enjoy uncovering the layers of a man who carries stories, lessons, scars, and truths within him. This kind of mystery keeps a woman emotionally engaged because she feels there is always more to learn, more to feel, more to understand. Mystery is sacred in spiritual traditions. The unknown holds power. It is the doorway to deeper connection. And the man who embodies mystery, not by pretending, but by existing with inner depth, becomes profoundly compelling compelling. But perhaps the deepest reason women value men who are hard to impress is because these men embody a higher masculine frequency. Their energy feels different. It feels stable, calm, clear, present, and grounded. It feels like a safe place for the feminine to relax. It feels mature, guided, protected by something greater. These men operate in the world with an inner authority that does not need external confirmation. Women feel drawn to it because it allows them to be feminine without fear. And finally, the most powerful reason of all, when a man who is hard to impress finally chooses a woman, it doesn't feel random. It feels destined, because this is not a man who chooses out of loneliness or neediness. He chooses from alignment. He chooses with clarity. He chooses with purpose. And when he chooses her, she understands that she was not another option. She was the one who resonated with his soul. This transforms attraction into something sacred. It becomes connection with meaning, not desperation. Purpose, not impulse. Spirit, not ego. Women value men who are hard to impress, not because they are difficult, but because they are deep. They represent the highest form of masculine energy, grounded, selective, aware, purposeful, spiritually aligned, emotionally centered, and sovereign. These men do not chase the world. They move with it. They do not seek validation. They carry it within, and they do not lose themselves in desire. They rise above it. In a world full of noise, the man who carries silence becomes magnetic. In a world full of masks, the man who is authentic becomes unforgettable. And in a world full of reaction, the man who is grounded becomes irreplaceable.